New at 9. Late last year, El Paso became the epicenter of the pandemic in the United States. But even as the number of daily cases has dropped significantly compared to months ago, El Paso's active case count remains as high as it was during our peak. And some say that simply doesn't add up. Kfox 14 News at 9's Keenan Willard explains.
After the peak of El Paso's COVID-19 crisis, the city says active cases haven't dropped at all, despite new cases falling off a cliff since then. Some El Pasoans are concerned that the way the city counts active cases could be making these numbers look more than triple what they actually are.
I was like, okay, great. The active cases are going to go down now. And then they didn't.
The city of El Paso's active case reports have remained around 35,000 since mid-November, when El Paso was reporting more than 1,000 new cases daily. Since then, new cases in El Paso have dropped to around 500 or less each day. Kfox 14 asked the city how it defines when a case moves from active to recovered. In a statement, Health Director Angela Mora says the city contacts or attempts to contact each positive case after 10 days, and only when recovery is confirmed do they remove the case from the active column. Over the past 10 days in El Paso, there have been 4,464 new COVID-19 cases reported. But the city is reporting there are 35,126 active cases. To get to that number, you would have to add up every new case reported in El Paso for the past 73 straight days, with no recoveries. Last week, city leaders told us El Pasoans could be fighting COVID-19 longer because of high rates of underlying conditions.
Therefore, when we have been hit, we have had some incredibly severe cases that have taken time for people to recover.
Some El Pasoans believe the city isn't contacting people to take them out of the active column, telling the city on its Facebook page that they tested positive months ago and never received a call. I asked the city for an interview to ask about those claims, but they referred us back to the statement from the health director. Lucas Gailey is a teaching assistant at UTEP. He made this comparison of how El Paso's active cases would look if they were removed after more than 2 weeks, which we confirmed. This graph shows active cases dropping to below 10,000, while you can see the city's curve has stayed flat at 35,000 for months.
If you're telling a population that, hey, we have 35,000 active cases, when in reality it might be as little as 10,000, right? Like that's a big difference. And to me, it's important that people know their actual risk.
Now, the city of El Paso has promised me an interview tomorrow about active cases where we'll discuss all of these questions, and we'll have that report ready for you tomorrow night. From West El Paso, Keenan Willard, Kfox 14 News at 9.
The city of El Paso says it's going to be changing the way it counts active COVID-19 cases after a Kfox 14 investigation revealed a major flaw in the current system. Kfox 14 News at 9's Keenan Willard has been pressing the city for answers. He is live in the newsroom tonight. Keenan.
After seeing our report from last night, the city of El Paso says it's going to be changing the way that it moves cases from active to recovered. Right now, health leaders say that cases stay active until patients get a call from the city. But even months after testing positive, some El Pasoans say that call never came.
Moving forward, we see that these cases, active cases, is going to be reduced.
This week, Kfox 14 Investigates broke down El Paso's active case data. Currently, the city counts more than 35,200 active cases. For that number to be accurate, you'd have to add up every new case in El Paso going back more than 70 days with no recoveries. Our story caught the attention of El Paso Health Director Angela Mora.
I watched your show and your news, and I really appreciate you pressing on this.
Today, Kfox 14 Investigates pressed Mora on the system the city uses to count active cases.
El Paso is one of the only local health departments that are still making contact.
Mora says the city calls each person who tests positive 10 days after their diagnosis to confirm they've recovered, but if the person doesn't answer the phone, their case remains marked as active, even though the patient may have recovered.
We understand the cases are high and they should be lower, but they are high because the practice that we follow since the onset of the pandemic.
Mora says the city is working on changing their active case system with the help of the state, and that the new number of active cases will be lower.
With this number that's supposed to basically represent the severity of how the virus is spreading in El Paso right now, about to change to something potentially completely different, how can people really trust the coronavirus information that's coming out from the city?
Our information is very reliable. Our data is very reliable. And I personally don't think people are concerned about the number of cases.
Some El Pasoans disagree. Amy Duchesne tells Kfox 14 Investigates she tested positive in mid-November. And after quickly overcoming the virus, she didn't get a recovery call from the city for more than a month.
I guess I was just listed as active that entire time. And then on top of that, my husband was tested the same exact day, and he's still never even received an initial call or a recovery call.
Duchesne says with families and businesses depending on accurate COVID info to make decisions, she's struggling to keep her faith in the city's daily numbers.
If the information and the data is incorrect, then we have a problem across the board.
Now, Health Director Angela Moore says when the new system kicks in, that number of active cases will be lower. But Fire Chief Mario D'Agostino says the current data isn't inaccurate. The city's just erring on the side of caution with its number of active cases. From West El Paso, Keenan Willard, Kfox 14 News at 9.